Hello again. Thank you for everyone yesterday who watched my video or subscribed or commented or liked. I massively appreciate it. Like I said, this is all very new to me. This is the second video I've ever posted on YouTube. So thank you to everyone for that. And if it helps someone, brilliant. That's what I'm doing this for. I'm doing it to offer just reassurance and support and advice of any kind of guidance or things that have worked for me or helped me through a situation that I'm going through, a very personal journey. And I appreciate the fact that everyone else is going on their own personal journey and everyone has their own circumstances and situations that they're going through. I wanted today to talk about more along the lines of what happens when you hit rock bottom. Again, this is meant to be a positive, empowering video. This is just things that help me through difficult times. It's not going to be anything heavy or just mentally draining. Hopefully not. This is more along the lines of what helps me through difficult and challenging traumatic events. I've recently become aware of a thing called compacted trauma, which is when you go through significant life-changing events in a very short space of time, when you don't have enough emotional time or emotional availability to process one thing before the next life-changing altering event knocks you for six, and it just literally stacks up. And that's incredibly difficult when you're trying to grieve and process one thing and then the next thing absolutely floors you. So it means that once all these things are all compacted on top of each other, it takes longer to heal and to process because all the grief and the trauma is all jumbled up. You're trying to, methodically go through one thing at a time, grieve one thing and process one thing at a time when it's incredibly difficult to do so. So again, that's if you saw my video that I submitted yesterday, I went through a lot of traumatic experiences in a very relative short space of time. But yeah, when you hit rock bottom, like I said again yesterday, the importance of actually grieving. You can't keep running on empty. You can't just keep forcing yourself to keep going because you just get yourself further and further into this mental hole, and it's incredibly hard to get out of. So, and it's very difficult to offer emotional support and guidance and support and love and care to others if you're struggling to find that yourself. One of the greatest sayings someone said to me was, "You can't pour from an empty cup," and I think that's brilliant. And someone also said to me, "If there's an emergency on an aeroplane and the oxygen masks drop, what's the first thing you're encouraged to do, or first thing you're instructed to do, is to put it on yourself before you help others." And that's the importance of what I'm trying to say is you have to look after yourself first, because the more that you look after yourself, the more time and support and love you give yourself, the more you then have for others. You have to love yourself first. So yeah, basically, and take what use that in whatever form works for you. Like I say, grieve, let it hit you. You don't want to sort of, or some people naturally or quickly try to fill that void, that gap, as fast as they can, and because of the uncomfortability, because of how uncomfortable and scary the prospect is to have that unfamiliarity. So they'll grab or whatever they can, whoever they can, even in some cases, to fill that void. Whereas I think that's not the best approach. Obviously, again, each to their own, of course. But the problem with that is that you're not processing and you're not actually dealing with the grief. You're just numbing it, masking it. So you have to kind of actually process that and sit in that grief and let it hit you. Some days you're going to have days where you don't want to get out of bed. Some days you're going to, where you feel stronger. But yeah, let that grief hit you, because if you try and just fill that void with meaningless emptiness, that will give you that quick short-term fix, but then won't resolve any issues or any underlying concerns. Then that's not going to resolve that long term. That's not part of the recovery. It's part of a quick fix. So all I'll say, again, I'm going off on a tangent. Like I said on yesterday's video, there's no script. This is literally things that just come out of my head. So let's give yourself time. Give yourself time and grief, and support. Do whatever you can that gives you that nourishment, that gives you that that sort of feeding your soul. So it may be something literally like going for a walk, reaching out to someone, talking to a friend, talking to a family member, just writing something down, getting it out of your head, putting it. This is why I'm making these videos. Even I find this therapeutic, just talking essentially to myself, getting it out of my head and into YouTube. So just actually have that time to really absorb what you need in the moment. It could be to make contact with friends, family, walk, fresh air, cup of tea, bath, gaming, whatever your interests are. And sometimes you might not know what those interests are. Like I said in my previous video, I never found out. I lost my whole identity, and I didn't know what I enjoyed, my passions, things that I buried or had to sort of rediscover. So use that time to look inwards, look after yourself, and actually fill that with what gives you nourishment at that time. Baby steps. So it could be, like I say, going out for a walk, going shopping, being around other people, just being around other human beings. Human beings are very social creatures, and I find it incredibly damaging when you isolate yourself and shut the world out. When I lost my job, when I wasn't working, I found that incredibly difficult because there was no structure, there was no routine to your day, and there's no stability to your day. So it all just amalgamates into one big blob, and you just ruminate. You just go over it and over it and over it in your head, and that's not healthy. So get the structure, get stability, get routine, keep going to work, keep just little things. Try to not make, if you can, major life altering decisions whilst you're grieving, because you need to minimize further disruption as best as you can. So do that. Just take that time to just take a step back, take a breath. Anything like meditation or learning all about mindfulness. Living in the moment rather than trying to cling on to the past or be terrified of the future. It's all about, again, there's loads of different help and support and therapy that can help everyone through it, through living in the present moment and grounding yourself in the here and the now. And the only way for the unknown to be less scary is it to become, so that it becomes known, and that takes time. You can't rush that, you can't force that. It's all has to be very gradual, otherwise you'll just burn and crash. So yes, and get support and whatever is healthy for you. Speak to the doctor, speak to support groups. There's listening agencies, there's listening charities out there that I've found particularly helpful as well. When I was in my early days of going through it, someone just to listen, just to be there on the end of the phone is incredibly helpful. And there's loads of listening charities available out there. Helping others, being supportive to other people, again, having that sort of treating people with kindness goes such a long way when you're hurting and you're grieving. And if you can help others, that just feeds your soul, that feeds your, the positive receptors in your own brain, that really does help. And support groups. There's there's a really good social network app for socializing, meeting other people. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it or not on YouTube, but I have no idea. But if you search for socializing apps and you actually put in your radius and where you live and your interests, there's groups, walking groups, social evening groups that are available in your area, and you can sign up to them and meet other people that are going through their own journey. And you automatically have then something in common with that people, whatever that group is for. If it is a walking group, you've automatically got walking in common. And it's just chatting, it's just socializing. There's no romantic intent or anything like that. It's literally just being around other people, getting yourself out of your rut, getting yourself out of your mental prison, and actually breaking that cycle. Even if it's only briefly, you stop it in its tracks, and you physically get out there, and just having that actual physical movement automatically jolts and stops in its tracks your rumination or your overthinking and the anxiety. So, and again, help, talk to people that have been through something similar so they can offer empathy and support and advice. But that's what I suggest. Get the help and support you need there. It is out there, it is available. Don't hide away, don't ruminate or try to minimize it, and just keep moving, keep engaging with life, and just hobbies, interests, and find it, discover it. Like I say, I've found loads of different interests and hobbies that I've tried. Some of them I've gone, no thanks, this isn't for me anymore. I've tried it and I'm like, no. Some I have, some I really enjoy. And again, just being around people, being around other human beings, just sitting in a coffee shop, just surrounding yourself with other people helps. So yeah, and again, someone I want to mention is someone very close to me had their own demons, and had years and years of therapy, and they were incredibly valuable to me because they understood what it's like to obviously go through, living inside your own prison of your mind, not being able to give yourself a break and not being kind to yourself. And they were really, really helpful to me, and I'm incredibly grateful for that. So speaking with people that can help if they can, like I say, most people will try and help, but some people won't, some people aren't interested, or some people don't know how to help because they haven't been through it, they've never lived in your shoes, they can't sympathize, they can't empathize, and that's okay. Everyone's journey is differently. Everyone goes through a different journey. So again, that's just my advice, would be take the time, allow yourself to grieve, sit in that circle of grief, because you can't disguise it, you can't force it not to be there. It will hinder you and it will prolong your healing and your recovery. It's all part of it's okay to be sad, it's okay to grieve, that's part of it, that's natural, before you then start finding joy and interest and happiness and things that make you smile and people that make you laugh and things that make people that make you smile, and that's what you cling to. That is what you cling to. It's practicing gratitude. It's appreciating what you have as opposed to what you don't have. And just being grateful for that. So yeah, so that's all I have to say on it, really. That's the first step of when you hit rock bottom. That's what helped me. Coffee mornings. I went for coffee mornings when I wasn't working, chatting with people, just getting out there. And coffee mornings were brilliant because you just surrounding yourself with other people that are also going through their own difficult situations, and that in itself I found incredibly comforting, because you know that you're not alone. You know that everyone's going through their own issues, everyone's got their own situations and concerns that they're going through, and just knowing that you're not alone I found incredibly comforting. So yeah, do whatever you can that helps you and makes you feel good, and you'll discover that, you'll find that out. I mean, initially it is terrifying, but as you slowly progress through your journey, you'll actually slowly piece together what brings you joy, what brings you contentment, what brings you just in peace, and you find it. But it takes time. You can't force any of this. It just, you'll literally, if you go inwards, you look inwards and you analyze, and sometimes if you're like me, you overanalyze and you overthink everything. But it's just breaking that part, going baby steps, physically and mentally, just one thing at a time, one day at a time, and you will get there. Yeah, anyway, again, I hope this helps. Please let me know one way or another, and I'll hopefully catch you soon. All right, bye bye.